Hello, amazing artists, and welcome back to art class with Mr. Mazer. This week, we're going to be filling in the background space of our beautiful pattern and blended leaves. We're going to be using a principle of design called color contrast. Now, contrast is a strong difference between two things. So some examples of contrast could be black and white. They're kind of like opposites. Rough and smooth. These are examples of contrast. So in art, when you're trying to create color contrast, you use your color wheel and you choose colors that are opposite. So they're directly across from each other on the wheel. So this would be colors like green and red, blue and orange, and purple and yellow. So those are contrasting colors. So if in art we're going to put two next to each other, so if I put blue next to orange, they make each other stand out and appear brighter and create contrast. So we're going to be using the opposite colors for our background to make that leaf really pop and stand out. Now, for the most part in our leaves, from what I've seen in class, we've stuck with traditional autumn colors for the leaves. So red, orange, yellow for the most part. So those are generally considered warm colors. Red, orange, and yellow are the warm colors. And you can see if you think of hot things like the sun, fire, those are usually colors that are in this range. Whereas the opposite colors, cool colors, purple, blue, and green, tend to have a cooler tone. You could think of things like ice in the ocean. You can see like blue water, green water. When the light hits them, they tend to have cool color tones. So these create a cool effect. So we're going to do a fun technique of blending colors. It's called wet on wet painting. I'm going to show you how to do that now. So to do wet on wet painting, you're going to start with a wet brush, and we're just going to paint the paper with water. Now, for this to work really well, you need to do small sections, because if I try and paint this all with water, by the time I finish, this is probably going to be dry and it's not going to be as effective. So do small sections at first, and I'm going to start with one color. I'm just going to dab in some sections. And if you're using a watercolor tray, it's pretty much the same effect. So at school, we're going to be using liquid watercolors because they're a little more fluid and they'll blend a little easier, but the tray paints will work really well. And if you don't have one at home, I suggest getting one. You can find them at pretty much any store, and they could range anywhere from a couple dollars up to the bigger trays that have rows of colors that will be like $10, $20 or more. So after I've done one color, I'm going to take another. Now I'm not going to do it right on top. I'm going to do them pretty close because I want to see what happens when they kind of meet. And I'm going to be creating, between purple and blue, I'll be creating like these blue-violet colors. And purple and yellow, as you can see on the wheel, are opposite each other. So those next to each other are going to create a nice contrasting effect. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to clean my brush. I'm going to add some greens in here so I can get some blue greens. Now, blue and purple aren't really next to each other, so they're not going to create, they're going to look a little gray, but so I want to keep those not too close. So I'm just filling in some of my space. Now, you don't want to just take your brush and drag it through and blend them all together, because then you're going to get this kind of a dull bluish color, and you're going to have that fun blended effect. So then I'm going to go in using my brush, filling in any white spaces. I'm going to go all the way from the leaf to the edge of the page, filling in those colors and creating this wonderful blending wet on wet watercolor technique. And as you can see, those colors up against this is really making it stand out and pop. And if you want, if you're using water, You can blend color out and make it lighter, or you can just go back in and add more paint to saturate and make the color brighter. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Focus on having fun, blending out your colors into the background, and creating some color contrast to really make that beautiful leaf pop. Hope you have fun, and we'll see you next week.